If there's a Ford in need, I am the man indeed. I will find them. I will fix them. I'll love them. And you know, I'm going to drive the shit out of them. I am the Ford aficionado. Welcome to my channel. Howdy guys, welcome back to Ford aficionado, back at it again. And today we're going to be changing the coolant, antifreeze, and thermostat in the Jeep. Now I've never changed this coolant before, but whoever owned this thing before me had the wrong antifreeze in it to begin with, coolant in it to begin with. They had the green stuff. It doesn't call for the green stuff, it calls for this Prestone Platinum. Well, it doesn't have to be the Prestone Platinum, but it does call for Hot Coolant Hybrid Organic. Let me make sure. Let's just say that. Anyway, it doesn't say it on here, but it's supposed to be a Hot Coolant, a hybrid organic acid technology coolant, good for 7 years, 150,000 miles. And now, as you can see, this is good for American vehicles, Jeep, Ram, Dodge, Chrysler, 2000 and newer. This happens to be a 2007, so it'll work perfectly fine. I believe it costs 14.5 quarts to be exact. And as I saw in the last video, we're also going to be changing the radiator. So I got 5, 10, 15, 20 quarts, which each jug is a gallon, so enough to fill the radiator, fill the block, and fill the coolant reservoir. So it's not a hard job. You can do it yourself, and yeah, let's get to it. And the very first thing we're going to come over here and do is just remove your radiator cap. Come on, baby. There you go. Just remove your radiator cap. It's not that big of a deal. That way, air will get in the system and it'll drain faster. Alrighty, guys. So the first thing you're gonna do is take your air cleaner out of the way. Remember, it's two 8mm screw clamps and one 10mm retaining bolt for the air intake itself. Hold it in place. Remove those two, and then the first thing we're going to do is make sure we can get the thermostat housing loose first before we even drain the coolant. Because if you can't get the thermostat housing loose on this Hemi, happens to be right here. If you can't get these bolts loose, don't even try to drain the system. Alrighty guys, so it's a 13mm for the thermostat housing bolts. Just make sure you can break them loose. Rut-row, Reggie. Rut-row. I don't know how this is going to turn out. Honestly don't. Just go slow. They are not wanting to move. Alright, we'll be right back. Alrighty guys. Alright. So I got the thermostat housing bolts loose. And took a little caressing, but a little bit of work, but I did get them loose. Just take your time, you don't want to snap them off into the block. Just gently work around on each side. If you need to spray them with PV Blast or WD-40, do so. But alright. we're gonna stop there. We're gonna try to go down and drain the radiator, pull the radiator hose off. Alright guys, so we're going in here to the lower radiator hose, unbolting the clamp, and then we're just gonna slowly work it off. It's pretty loose as it can be. There we go. Starting to drain. And we're just going to gently let it drain. Loosen it a little bit more. Now this will drain the radiator and hopefully the entire block. It may not get it all out of the block, but once I get a decent amount out of the block, that's all I'm worried about. So. And guys, I will tell you, be careful. Do not let your pets, cats, dogs, chickens, goats, around these this antifreeze, because it will kill them. Whatever it is, it's got a sweet kind of, I guess, a sweet smell or a sweet taste to it. Attracts pets. They can't resist it, and then they end up dying because it kills them. It's poisonous to them. So keep all pets away when you're draining coolant, and try to find a big enough bucket or a big enough container to drain the coolant into and dispose of it properly. Just don't throw it out in the yard or in a ditch. And as you can see guys, I got the thermostat out, thermostat housing off. I'll pop the old thermostat off, and if we can, because it might be on there. It's been on there for 20 years almost. So we'll get it just like that. And there's the old one. See if I can find the name on it, see if it's the OEM. I don't see the name on it, but I'm pretty sure it is OEM. It's a 203 degree thermostat. As you'll see right there, it says 203 degrees Fahrenheit, 95 Celsius. So, out with the old thermostat. And in with the new. So we put them side by side. They look identical. Hang on. They look identical. Here's the old one. Here's the new one. Now, when you want you'll see here, the little jiggle pin, this right here, you want it at the top so the air will bleed out faster when you're bleeding the system and adding coolant. So it'll bleed faster, the thermostat will open up. So, let's put it back in here. Alright, let's get it in. Just pops in. I'll say that. Well, maybe I'll stick it in here beforehand. Like that. There we go. And then just put your bolts back in and tighten it down. Let me see if I can raise you up a little bit to get a better view. There we go. Alright. And just put your bolts back in and get them started by hand. Don't strip them, don't cross thread them. It'll be a mess. And make sure they all start by hand. They don't screw up. I got that one started. Let me check my coolant down here. Okay, it's good. Now, get both the bolts started by hand so you don't screw up. What was this one at? There's that one. Well, this one is kind of hard to see because of the location. It's not really, you know. Of course I had to drop a damn bolt. Alrighty guys, so we got the thermostat back in, snug down, tightened down. Good, you don't want to go crazy and strip them. I found the bolt. Luckily I had my magnet on a stick, it's a lifesaver. But new thermostat's in. Let's finish draining the radiator. Alrighty guys, as you can see, this is what I took out of it. It didn't look that dark. It's just dirt in the bottom of the bucket. But I'd say this is probably a gallon at most. And I know it holds more than that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can get any more out. I pulled the petcock out of the radiator and still nothing came out, so I know there's a bunch still left in the block, but to be honest, I don't want to have to run a water hose through this thing and flush it out, because I don't want any issues when the cold weather comes. And so I'm going to fill it up with some fresh coolant and fill up the reservoir and see what happens. So let's fill up the coolant reservoir. This gets in my way all the time. Let's fill up the reservoir. Alright, where we at? We're at the add. We'll put in some more. Pour it slow, you don't want to make a big mess. And so, where we at? Not quite. Alright, we're at the full mark now. So, alrighty guys, so the radiator reservoir, coolant reservoir is full, as you can see. It's right at the full line. And so now, let's fill up the radiator. Put the hose back on. Alright guys, now coolant reservoir full, the lower radiator hose has been reconnected, thermostat's been changed, radiator's been filled. Now we're going to crank it up, bleed the air out of the system. Alright guys, so we got it running. Got the radiator full, it's bleeding the air out. When we come inside, you want to start it up, turn the heat on full blast, recirculate, so that way when the thermostat opens up, it bleeds as much air as possible out of the system. Alrighty guys, as y'all see, it's opening up. Alrighty guys, so it's finally starting to burn the coolant, bleed the air out of the system. I don't know how long it's been, but as you can see, the temperature gauge is staying right where it's supposed to, about the halfway mark. And we got some pretty nice heat coming out of here. Pretty nice heat coming out of here. So we're going to keep an eye on it. I know the system's not full, but we're just going to keep playing with it for a little bit longer. Because I do not want any air pockets. I do not want this thing running hot on me. So we'll be back. Now I will say, people are probably going to say, why didn't you jack it up and all that? Well, I don't have a jack, and I don't have, you know, I've got a jack, but it's just easier. See? Burping the cooling system, air is bleeding out. So I'm gonna give it a little bit longer. But normally when you do this, you want to jack it up so the radiator is the highest point, and all the air will bleed out through the radiator and hole. Alright guys, so this was not the original thermostat. This is a motor rad thermostat. So it's been changed at least once before. And so, yeah. Still bleeding air out. Well guys, I think we got it pretty well bled. It seems to be okay. Not running hot, heat's working. And I know I didn't get all the coolant out of the system because I dropped the lower radiator hose, and sure there's still a ton left in the block, but I know people probably say you shouldn't mix coolants, but because I don't have the equipment to properly drain the system and the block and everything, it's not that big of a deal. It's not running hot, you know. So I'm gonna, it's been sitting there probably 25, 30 minutes idling with the heat on. And I think I got it pretty well bled. I'm gonna button everything back up and take it down the road. So, yeah. I still got 2 gallons, actually 3. I bought one in the Jeep. And 3 gallons of coolant, so if I need to add more, I will. I'll probably go ahead and top up the reservoir once again, and just so that'll be full. And so there you have it, guys. The radiator, the reservoir's topped up, the coolant reservoir's topped up, radiator's full, ain't no leaks, thermostat's changed. And so you can easily do something like this yourself. No leaks. And again, like I said, temp gauge is right about halfway. We got some nice strong hot heat coming out of here. So I'm ready for winter time. Go ahead and shut this off. Put it back to cold. And shut up, you fucking cunt. So there you have it, guys. The coolant and the thermostat have been changed. Now, yes, I know for a fact I didn't get 100% of the old coolant out. And so it's really not that big of a deal, because I don't want to have to, flush the system with a garden hose and have any potential of any water at all getting in the block or in the radiator and causing a leak when the weather gets cold. But it's not that big of a deal. I mixed the coolant, it is what it is. I can always go back and change it again, drain it more later on, and then top it back up. So you can do it yourself. As you saw, it's not that hard. Thanks for watching. I'll see y'all in the next one. Ford Aficionado out.